Hi traders and investors, I'm Tarun Dugania, and today we're going to be talking about the most basic principles that you can use to maximize your returns in the stock market. First things first, sectors before stocks. So the stock market in itself is going through a rotation in terms of the money put into different sectors year after year, month after month, sometimes in batches of economic cycles as well. So the first thing we want to do is, in any point of time, we want to figure out which sector is going to outperform. For example, the defense sector has outperformed for the past 2 years. Railways are outperforming right now. In December of 2022, I had pointed out that the power sector should also start outperforming, and had bought into PFC and REC, which you can track here on my LinkedIn profile. Now, you want to spot these sectors because while the index might just grow by 10% or 15%, some of these stocks can double. For example, PFC has almost doubled. HAL has more than doubled. Mazagon Dock has gone 6 times. If you spot these sectors and you find the right stocks, then your chances of making a great return is much larger than just picking up an individual stock that has a bright future but might not see a breakout right now. So we're trying to minimize that holding period. Now, at this point of time, for example, IT has not performed for the past 2.5 years, even though most of the big IT firms at least have been consistent compounders for decades. So holding them is not a mistake. But if you want to outperform the market, then you want to spot sectors that are going to outperform from the get-go. Now, once you do this, once you've found a sector and you found a stock, do you go into it right away? That brings us to the second point. Always buy in batches. So you might think that a company is doing really well, and some of the greatest investors would have us believe that if you find a good company, don't wait for the right opportunity, don't try to time the market, buy into the stock. And I completely agree with that. Who am I to question Mr. Buffett or Peter Lynch, right? But these investors have the added capacity of an infinite holding time and infinite capital. So they can always average down whenever the stock goes down. Most of the retail investors do not have that capacity. We end up going in buying whatever capital we have allocated for that stock in one go. Now if the stock price corrects, we both miss out on opportunity and put ourselves in a state of panic, wondering if we made a mistake. So to avoid both these traps, what we can do is always buy in with 40 to 60% of your capital. That's what I would do. So if I'm going into Phoenix Mills at 1600, I'm buying in for maybe 40 to 60% of my capital, let's say 16 lakhs. So I'm buying in for somewhere close to 10 lakhs. Now, if the stock corrects by 10%, down to 1450, I put in another 10%. It goes down another 10%, I put in another 10% of my capital. What this does is, it allows me to use the opportunity created by that price correction as long as the stock is good in the long run. Second, it gives me the peace of mind knowing that I have a plan for the stock price going down and that I'm not just randomly going into the company. For example, if Phoenix Mills corrects down to 1,000, then I would have gone in 5 batches and ended up with 1,032 shares in total. Now, over time, if Phoenix, being a good stock, comes back to its original price of 1,600, then my capital increases to 16,51,000, which is a net profit of 2,10,000 in a stock that has not really increased. On the other hand, had I just bought in and waited, I would have missed both the opportunity cost and given all the charges that I have to pay on top without having made a profit. I would have made a loss. This is how the situation changes. Now, you might argue that it's possible that the stock just skyrockets up. Well, you've still invested in it. You've still got 50 to 60% of your capital in it. Now, if you're more greedy than that, then it's going to be very difficult for you to make money in the market, because being greedy is how smart people lose money in the market. Finally is my founding principle in investing, right? This final point encapsulates that. If you don't lose money in the market, you'll make money, right? So to do that, what we'll do is we'll stay away from high debt companies. Now, there are other forms of companies as well that can lose you money, but more often than not, it is high debt companies that really suffer. Most other firms find their way back as long as they have a decent enough product. And of course, you'll be able to shortlist a good company. But if it has high debt, like GMR Infra right now, or Indigo right now, these are great companies doing a fantastic job, and maybe they'll double or triple from here. But I'm not going to go into them. Simple idea being, high debt equals high risk. Anything goes wrong with the company, and then the liquidity suffers, and then we have a crash, and then do we know the company will recover? We don't really. DLF was a great firm back in late 2000s. What happened? For 15 years, it did nothing. In fact, most of the capital was reduced to 1/5. Now it's doing well because it's reduced debt, so I could always have bought back here. Tata Motors are very similar. Indiabulls Housing Finance, it's still not recovered. So we don't want to go into firms that are extremely high risk, obviously extremely high risk, no matter what the reward is, because if we can preserve our capital, we will make money. Follow these 3 principles for your early stages of investing, And once you've started beating the market, we'll talk about more complex ideas. If you want to watch my video on sectoral rotation, which is how I try to outperform the market more often than not, it's been linked here. Until next time.